This is the Thursday, May 7, 2020 meeting of the Athens City Planning Commission. Most of I think the only person we're missing at this point is Nancy. Christy's here, I'm here, the mayor, Tom. Hello, Tom. How are Chief? How are you? And let's see. So a quorum has been established. And is there anyone who, Nancy's here now?
Yeah, I just want to interject, RJ,
Sure.
and say that Nancy is listening via speakerphone.
Okay.
Okay, if she needs to speak, I will unmute and let her to speak.
Okay, so I will count her as part of the, for the minutes votes. Is that correct? And you'll just relay that to me if I don't?
Yes.
Okay. Let's see. The quorum has been established. Is there anyone who is intending to speak with the Planning Commission today? And we have a representative. See, Dr. Gibbs is here. And was there someone else that I saw?
Glenn Decker here.
Okay.
Decker.
Okay.
And, Vicki,
and do you all just promise to tell the truth as you know it to the Athens City Planning Commission?
I do.
To say I do? Great. Thank you. Disposition of minutes then. January 16, we do have enough patchwork where we can get approval on all three minutes sessions. January 16, 2020, Christy, Nancy, and the mayor are able to vote for that. Do you see any changes, any amendments that you'd like to make to that?
I don't. I do have a general comment.
Sure.
And that is, and you may have mentioned this already, RJ, and that is that Tom Pyle is the acting service safety director for the city at this point in time, and likely for the next 10 to 12 months, give or take. And so he will be a voting member of this body as we move forward until Director Andy Stone returns from his active duty deployment. Great.
And I'm sorry I didn't refer to you as chief, my mistake. So let's see, there was no changes. There's everything's okay for January 16th minutes. And is there someone who will make a motion?
I move that we approve the minutes as written.
Okay, and a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And Nancy was an aye?
Nancy was an aye.
Great. Okay, so the January 16 minutes approved with 3 yeses and 2 absentees. Next, it would be March 5th, 2020. Myself, Christy, and Nancy are able to vote for the minutes on that. Does anyone see any changes or anything that they would like to address with March 5th?
I don't.
I don't either. Nancy?
No.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. That's unanimous with 3 in favor and 2 absentees for March 5th, 2020 minutes. The minutes also finally for April 2nd, 2020. Myself, Christy, the mayor, and Chief Pyle are able to vote for that. Are there any changes or comments that anyone wishes to make for April 2nd minutes?
I don't have any.
Okay. Is there someone who wishes to? I'll make a motion to accept the minutes. Is there a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that was 4 in favor and 1 abstention for April 2nd, 2020. So we are caught up with our minutes. It's number 20-05, Morrison Gordon Middle School. Mr. Riggs, hello, and would you care to update us with everything?
Thanks, Mr. Chair. Morrison Gordon, this is the case for the revisions to the elementary school. There was a line, I think Mr. Decker had a line of sight that he just sent to us yesterday or today, verifying that there was a safe line of sight on the proposed access into and out of this school. There's also, is that right, Mr. Decker?
Yes, that's correct.
And we also had the lot split that's been going on. Just wanted to update Mr. Gibbs that we're in the process of reviewing that and should have it to you as quickly as we can. We still are looking for a traffic study or a traffic analysis just to see where we can do with safe routes to school. And we would still like to see that, but I would recommend that we would approve this pending the traffic study.
David, I've been in contact with ODOT, and so we hired a consultant to do the traffic study. That information was forwarded to ODOT. ODOT's only concern was how we had the parking lot laid out. And so they went ahead and developed for me 3 potential solutions.
Okay.
I'd be happy to forward that email to you, but they're not recommending any changes to the roadway. They're just recommending we change how we do the traffic within the parking lot itself.
Great. If you could send that to me, we'll have staff review it and look at it and decide what to do. Thanks.
Yep. Thank you.
Mr. Riggs, did I understand you that you would prefer to not vote on this today?
No, that's not correct. I believe that we should move to vote on it.
Okay, and just contingent upon the approval of the traffic study.
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
great. Let's see. Mr. Riggs, did you have anything more to add? And then I can turn it over to Dr. Gibbs if he wishes.
That's all I had.
Okay, Dr. Gibbs, do you have any comment?
No, I'm just now forwarding the email to, so I'm sending it to David, Glenn, and Vicky. Does anyone else need a copy of this for the parking lot suggestions from ODOT?
We'll forward that along to other staff members for review.
Okay, so I'm just forwarding that without any other message, just so that you have it. And David, do you also want the what our consultant sent to ODOT as well forwarded to you?
Yes, please.
Okay, I'll do that as soon as we're out of the meeting. Otherwise, I think the only other topic that we're working on, and Glenn could probably speak to this better than me, is trying to help the city with an issue and the railroad with an issue they have with culvert. We have a consultant coming in later this week to take a look at, the kind of the whether that constitutes a wetland or not. So we'll have more information on that next week. And really, the only change that would make for us is how we do the water detention on site. But I'm sure Vicky or Glenn could probably talk more on that if you all have questions.
Mr. Decker, did you have any comments?
No comments. I'd be happy to answer any questions. I have been working with Bob Hetty. We kind of did a little bit of extra survey looking at if there's an easy way to drain that existing culvert underneath the railroad. So we're still kind of going back and forth on that.
Ms. Newell, did you have any comments that you cared to make?
Not specific, but if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer those.
Okay. Are there any questions from the commission or?
Yeah, I just have a comment. I'm glad to hear that there is, some work to try to come up with a solution for that culvert and what goes on, because I know that's been a challenge for EMS with the county building their new EMS station out there at the end of Kenny Drive as well. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Dr. Gibbs or Mr. Decker, what was the concern that they had about the parking lot?
It's the same concern we have at East and at the Plains and at all of our buildings, which is the increasing number of parents who tend to drive their own children to school. And the stacking of cars, more so in the afternoon when parents pick children up because they'll often arrive early and want to wait. And so the recommendations they were making were to create a stacking methodology where we have teachers park basically on the outside edge parking spaces and use the interior parking spaces of the lot more as where you pull in and wait for your child to come out. So they had 3 different designs that they recommended that I did just share. And but that was the primary. It was just trying to make every effort we could not to have traffic back up on 56.
Okay, thank you. Were there any other questions that members had on this? Okay. Would someone care to make a motion?
Also move.
Okay, second. I'll second. And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So that's I'm assuming Nancy was approval? Okay, so that was unanimous then on that. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. We'll move on to case number 20-06, Herald Avenue Major Subdivision. Mr. Riggs, would you update us, please?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. This is probably one of the only major subdivisions we've seen in a number of years. And the reason that we need to do that is because there are actually more than 5 lots that are being divided here. One advantage that we have with this is that we'll have more saleable lots that will hopefully make be income producing parcels for the city. It also allows the city to acquire some right-of-way that we need for the Herald Avenue. And so this is in exchange for acquiring that right of way. We think that this is a good deal for the city and would recommend approval.
Okay, thank you very much. Are there any representatives here for the Herald Avenue project? Okay. Are there any comments from Planning Commission members? Questions? Okay. Would someone care to make a motion? Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Riggs.
I could. The only issue I have right now with this project is that the owners have not signed the application. They're out of the country. We expect them to do that, but I would recommend that if you guys recommend approval, that it would be approval based on the getting a signature from the property owner.
Okay.
So then it would be a motion to adopt or approve pending signature from the owners. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Would someone care to? I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor.
I would like to make that motion.
Okay. I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. And Nancy's is a yes. Okay. Let's see. So that motion is approved unanimously. Thank you very much on that. There are no communications today. A report from the city planner, Mr. Riggs.
The city planner, or
yeah, Paul Logue. I'm sorry, I'm ahead of myself here. Hi, Paul.
Hi. Good afternoon.
I didn't mean to dismiss you.
No problem. I'm not offended. Hope everybody's doing well today. Just 2 things I wanted to report on. The first, as we've talked about for a while, we are doing, for about a year and a half now, there's been a lot of people working on establishing a plan and some potential zoning ordinance for the plains. The zoning commission that was formed in order to work through all of that, they have forwarded a recommendation for a draft ordinance to the Regional Planning Commission and the Athens County Regional Planning Commission. We will be reviewing that recommendation at our meeting next Thursday morning at 8 a.m. All of the members of the Regional Planning Commission will be receiving copies of that draft document this afternoon or tomorrow morning. And then assuming that the Regional Planning Commission supports that draft ordinance at some point, or excuse me, not at some point, but in November of 2020, that ordinance will be put on the ballot for property owner, residents of that proposed zoning district to vote on establishing a zoning ordinance for that area of the plains. If anybody on the Planning Commission is interested in seeing that, by all means, let me know, and I'll just forward it out to everybody so that you have a copy of it as well. It's pretty good. They put a lot of effort into it. There was a group of citizens, volunteers, who spent countless hours working on that, and former Athens County planner Bob Eichenberg, he worked as a consultant to help draft everything with them. So it looks, I've skimmed it last night and it looks pretty good. And I'm encouraged to see that people are moving forward with that in other parts of the county. The second item I wanted to bring up was the draft comprehensive plan, which all the members of the City Planning Commission should have. That has been distributed widely using city's social media accounts. As well, I sent it out to our comprehensive plan email list, which is about 240 names on it. Only 10 of those email lists got shot back as people who are no longer interested in participating. I have asked for feedback, and I haven't gotten too much yet, but I have gotten some. Most of the feedback I've received has been pretty positive right now. I'm working with my interns to put together a feedback response form, a formalized way to do that. And I'll be sending that out in the next day or two. And that will be, that way anybody who wants to give us some feedback, we can collect all of that information in an orderly fashion to help review that draft one more time. That's all I have. Yeah.
Okay. I had a question about the plains. Mm-hmm. From where to where would the areas be affected?
I'll send you a map of that so you can know specifically. It's only in the Athens Township areas, roughly the northern third of the plains, maybe the northern 2/3. Now the northern third roughly is in Dover Township. None of that is incorporated or is included in this, so it is only the Athens Township aspect. It's typically mostly the residential areas and the commercial areas centered around 682, and then those side streets around there. But I'll send you a map so that you can see the geographic boundaries of it.
Okay, so basically from 5th Street to Pine on the other side. Pine, it would be like I think the division street between Dover and Athens.
I think so, yeah, but I'm not.
Rite Aid, yeah, something like that. Yeah,
okay. I believe so, yeah. And I'll, like I said, I'll send that out to you once this meeting's over. I'll send it out to all the planning commissioners.
Great. Are there any other questions or comments for Mr. Logue? Thank you, Mr. Logue. Mr. Riggs, how are you today?
Yeah, hi, everybody, Mr. Chair. I don't have a whole lot. The only thing I wanted to mention was I've said this a couple of times, we've got a resubmission of the mill iron PUD revision, and that may come here to Planning Commission, possibly the next meeting for communication.
Okay, thank you. Any comments or questions for Mr. Riggs? Okay. Let's see. Scott, are there any residents lined up for opportunity to speak here today?
I don't see anybody.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Announcements and other business. Mr. Mayor?
Just a couple things. I would encourage anyone who's watching the Planning Commission today to jump on the governor's 2:00 press conference today. He did not have one yesterday, and it was likely due to the planning of the recommendations that came from his various teams with the next phase of reopening. And what we're hoping to hear is what the plan will be for restaurants, daycares, salons, and bars as well. And with that being said, again, it will be really interesting to see what that plan of action, if it is announced today, what that looks like. I'm sure that there will be things that our body is going to have to review in the not too distant future, depending on how this all plays out. The other announcement that I have is that the Outdoor Recreation Council of Appalachia is meeting tomorrow evening at 5:30. It is an open meeting. It has been put onto the city's website as well as the county's website in a way in which someone who wishes to attend can attend virtually, of course, using Zoom. Amy Renner, who is the mayor of Chansey, is now the assistant or the vice chair for ORCA, which is what we call it. I am currently the chair of ORCA as we continue to explore ways in which the Council of Governments that is ORCA helps or works as we move toward further expansion of the Bailey Trail system. So I wanted to make sure that announcement was heard. Again, that is an open meeting that people can attend as we deal with the business before us pertaining to the Bailey Trail system.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Our next meeting will be May 21st, 2020, with the work of the Athens City Planning Commission completed today. This meeting stands adjourned.